everybody. Welcome to Art and the Word. I'm Nicole Georges Bennett, and I'm so happy that you decided to join us today. I want to give a very special shout out to all the TLC Arts and Skills students who are watching on today. Thank you guys for being so faithful and always tuning in and, trying your best to keep up with all the arts and crafts that all of our teachers throw at you, and you're doing such a wonderful job. I just want to say thank you to my co-teachers, Joan, Christine, Naomi. Thank you so much for all that you do to help make TLC Arts and Skills a success that it is. I also want to say a very special thank you to our station host, TDN Radio, TDN TV, for also supporting me in all of our artistic endeavors for the Lord. So today is no exception. We will be doing a painting that's inspired, I believe, by the Holy Spirit, sort of speaking to me about the cross and the meaning of the cross and all of the different facets of the cross. So we are going to be using our stencil that Teacher Joan made for us last year, and that's for the TLC art students. For anybody who's tuning in for the first time, welcome. Just to give you a quick rundown of what we do. We're not professional artists, but we are art enthusiasts. We love what we do, and especially I'm all about encouraging people to use their God-given talents and developing their God-given talents for the Lord, for His kingdom and for His glory. So if you have always been interested, perhaps in acrylic painting, and you've never, felt, what's the word I'm looking for, empowered to try, or you've always been nervous about giving it a try, I suggest that this may be the spot that the Lord has placed you in right now so that you can try without feeling any fear, because no one's going to judge you for how it turns out. So what we do is we create, we paint for the glory of God, and we do it at our own skill level. So you are never too old to try, you're never too young to try, and you're certainly never too unskilled to give it a shot. So I encourage you to do that today. So just to give you a quick rundown on what we're going to be working on. So I will be doing this cross theme because this is my theme for this year. I'm using this stencil of the cross because I want the cross to be central in the work that we do in this semester for my classes in particular. And the reason for that is because I've just felt sort of, as the Lord has been leading me on my spiritual journey, that the cross should be central. The cross is the center of the message that Jesus saves, that Jesus came to the earth and He died for the sins of mankind so that we could be saved and be assured of a place in heaven. So I really wanted us to never lose sight of that because there's so many distractions happening in the world. As I speak, and I'm recording this, but there's war in Europe right now, and we just want to remember that our focus should always be on the Lord, because there's nothing that's happening that He can't handle. There's nothing that's happening that's a surprise to Him, because He knows the history of the world, He knows the future of the world, and what lies beyond. So our faith and our trust can always be in Him, because He is the one who knows what's going to happen, and He's the one who is faithful to keep us, to keep our minds at peace, even when the rest of the world is at war. So today, what I wanted to do was to talk a little bit about the cross. And I've said this before, but I'm not one who usually thinks about beautifying the cross. The cross to me is a very serious symbol, and it's an instrument of torture and death, and yet it is also a symbol of hope and a symbol of life everlasting. It's a symbol of God's incredible love for mankind, that He would send His Son to die on this instrument of torture, this most barbarous way of dying, and that He would shed His blood and willingly go to that cross for me, for you, for anyone else whose heart is moved to repentance and who wants to have a strong relationship with the Lord. So the cross, as I said, I've never felt very comfortable when I've seen paintings where it's made to be this sort of almost like an accessory. in a painting. People put lots of flowers on it, they decorate it, they make it in all these sort of psychedelic colors. And I was always critical of that. But recently, I think the Spirit has sort of been speaking to me and saying that yes, there is beauty in the cross, and that there can be more abstract interpretations of the cross and of that beauty of the cross, so that maybe it doesn't always have to look like the two wooden beams, that were nailed together 2,000 years ago. That the Lord can speak through different images of the cross to the hearts of men and women. So as I kind of go through that, I received a meme, or one of those things that you get through WhatsApp, and someone had sent a picture of the cross with hearts around it. And for some reason, that image kind of stayed with me. So that's what I'm going to be attempting today, and what I hope you will join me. So we're actually going to do 3 hearts. We're going to do one sort of in the background, and then 2 in the foreground of varying sizes. So I just want to say thank you to whoever it is that sent out that little image, that meme. And it's been an inspiration to me, and I hope that what we're going to do today is going to be an inspiration to you. So I have the devotional all printed out here. I feel like I've talked so much already, so please bear with me. And let's kind of get through our devotional, which I think articulates a little bit better what it is I've been trying to say. So this one is by Jeremy Stuckey. I think I've got that name right, pronounced right. And it says, "The beauty of the cross. The 2 disciples walked slowly. Their journey today is not long, but their hearts are heavy with sorrow and confusion. They were sure that Jesus would be the Messiah, the one to redeem Israel, the one who would bring restoration and peace to the world, so that all nations would know the one true God. And now he was dead. All the promises, all their hopes seemed to have died with him. There was no substitute given, as there was for Isaac when Abraham had offered him long ago. God did not intervene at the last second. They had watched him die, and they speak of these things as they walk back home to Emmaus. A stranger joins them on the way and asks them what are they talking about. They stop, briefly surprised that anyone would be ignorant of the events of the last few days. It's hard to relive those horrible hours, but nonetheless, they tell the stranger what happened to Jesus and how all their hopes have been dashed. And to their surprise, he begins to tell them why it was necessary for the Messiah to suffer and die, explaining it to them from the scriptures, beginning with Moses. This wonderful story is found in Luke chapter 24, verses 13 to 35. It isn't often that we speak of Jesus' death without also speaking of his resurrection. Sometimes, however, it can be illuminating to absorb the crushing despair that his disciples must have felt between the 2 events. The Messiah was expected to bring peace to the entire world, so that all nations would come to know and worship God. How could he do this if he was dead? Such a promising life and ministry, all the miracles, all the teaching, all was lost. It was over, and the best they could hope for was not to be delivered to the same fate. Theologian and Professor Jeremy Begbie of Duke University has this to say: "We are invited to view the crucifixion in the light of the blazing daybreak of Easter, Sunday morning, which vindicates that Jesus was crucified, announcing that he was indeed God's chosen one, that the world's sin had been defeated in him. This is to view the cross from the outside, as it were, with the synoptic gaze we attain when we know the ending. Good Friday is seen to be a saving initiative. Good. Yet along with this, we are also invited to read the story from the inside, from the perspective of those who lived through the shadows of Friday and Saturday without knowing the ending, for whom the Friday is a catastrophic finale to the would-be Messiah's life, a day devoid of victory, a day of shredded hopes, drained of goodness. It is more pleasant to focus on the result of Jesus' death than the actual event, or to focus on the resurrection instead of the crucifixion. Disclaimer, I am not downplaying the resurrection here. It may be nice to imagine a world without the fall of man, but if we do not engage with pain as pain, if we deny or trivialize the evil that Jesus overcame, then we dilute the gospel message itself. If we speak only of the apparent defeat, then we speak as those who have no hope. But if we speak only of the victory of the resurrection, we deny the evil, the pain, and the suffering of Jesus and those who followed him. And this is sentimentality at its worst. Consider a time of suffering in your life. Were you ever truly lifted from it by some pithy axiom like every cloud has a silver lining, or when God closes a door, he opens a window? Probably not. More likely, you were helped by someone who was willing to enter your pain, walk through it with you, rather than someone trying to cheer you up the right away. We must be willing to absorb the horror of the depths to which the love of God will descend in order to redeem. I think that's just such a powerful statement there. We must be willing to absorb the horror of the depths to which the love of God will descend in order to redeem. We need to live in the moment of the scriptural narrative instead of constantly indulging our desire to fast forward to the good stuff. Why? Because that's life, that's reality, and that is the world that Jesus Christ came to save. If we do not engage with and understand our need for him and the world's need for him, how then can we properly value what he offers? He offers life in abundance. How can we grasp how wonderful that is if we turn a blind eye to sin and death and to the seemingly unbreakable grip in which the world is held? What good is it to say that the Lord of life entered death, that the sinless one bore our sin, if we refuse to look at sin and death for what they are? Yes, sorrow gives way to victory, but to grasp the victory, we must grieve the sorrow. Isaiah 53:3 says, "He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as one from whom men hide their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not." A great work of art is not always enjoyable, but it is always challenging. It changes those who encounter it. We think beauty is something pleasing to the eye. It is not. Beauty has nail holes in its hands and feet. Blood runs down the face of beauty, beaten beyond recognition. Beauty is not that which is pleasant and easy, but that which transforms. So, that is just such a powerful word for us to reflect on today as we create this work of beauty. And I hope that as you create it and as you look at it in the months and the years to come, that you remember that while our work of art is not always enjoyable, it challenges us, it changes us, that we would remember that it may not always be as pleasant and easy as what we're about to do today, but we have that beauty from the cross, that beauty of Christ's death and the shedding of his blood. The beauty in it is that it transforms our lives and it saves our souls. So we're going to get started now. I'm just going to, so what we're going to do first of all is I'm going to trace out the shape of our cross. Now, the one thing I haven't done is I haven't shown you how I've done my backdrop, and that is because I want you to do your own. I would like you to think of the colors that you want to use on this. So I'm not going to give you recommended colors this time. I'd like you to think about what you would like to see in the backdrop, what colors really appeal to you. So the one thing that you want to do is to try and make sure that there's a contrast between whatever color you use for the cross. I'm not going to tell you that it has to be black or brown or whatever. I'm actually going to be working in green and red today. But for your backdrop, I want it to be anything that you decide you would like it to be. So if you would like it to be a sunny sky, if you'd like it to be flowers, if you'd like it to be just sort of monochrome, or maybe even simple as black and white, it's solely up to you, and I just want you to paint and create as you feel led to do. So I'm not going to tell you what I did. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to trace out, as I said, just our stencil here of the cross. This stencil is a bit large for the size of the canvas that we're working in, but this is a canvas that I have, so I am going to do my best to make it work. So I've positioned the cross just with the edge sort of jutting out a little bit. I'm using a bit of a broad brush, but it might be better to use a fine brush. So we've got, that is our start. I'm going to fill in the color. So using the same green color that I got here. I'm just going to do just sort of like one coat. And I'm just going to just do about an inch here because our hearts are going to cover the rest of it. So I'm just making sure that you can see the bottom of our cross. And then the top over here and the top here. But I'm not going to fill in the body until we've drawn in our hearts, okay? So you're just going to do the edges. All right. So once that's done, now we're going to freehand and draw in our hearts. Now, hopefully, you should be able to use your cross as a sort of a guide for where your hearts are going to be. I have something already here. Of course, you never find it when you need it. So, anyway, I'm going to use red. I'm not going to leave it very dark because I think that would be too stark for the color scheme that I'm going to. However, you've got a nice perhaps cream or white sort of colored background or light colored background, then you can make your hearts whatever shade of red you'd like to, maybe even pink. So I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start here. Let's see. I'm also going to, I'm trying to figure this out, I'm going to do a rather large one around the shape of the cross as well. So probably starting from the center. Now, if you want to do more than the 3 hearts that I'm doing, feel free to go ahead. You just don't want to end up covering too much of your cross and then lose your central message. So my hearts are not perfect. So don't be too, upset if you don't get like exact perfect lines. Because right now I'm not getting perfect lines at all. My hands are shaking a little bit. But the good news is I can come back in and fix this later. One way you can avoid that is by keeping your stencil sort of stuck there while you decorate around it. Okay, once you've got your, I'm just cleaning off my brush here. Once you've got the outline done, and you've decided, if you're going to add more hearts or not, so you might want to choose to do another one even behind that, but for me, 3 is enough. I'm good with that. So what we're going to do now is fill in our hearts. If you are new to acrylic paint, remember not to use too much water. On your brush, squeeze off your excess. It is of course possible to do this using a hard stencil as well. You don't have to freehand it at all. you've got a very dark background, then you may need to do more than one coat here. So we're gonna let that dry, and now I'm gonna come back to my cross. And I'm gonna paint in the center of my cross. What I'm gonna do actually, I'm thinking here, is I will probably make this slightly darker green to kind of blend, do a little bit of a blend here. Let's see how that looks. So I'm actually going to be mixing two greens, but again, your cross can be whatever works with the color scheme that you're thinking. Ideally, you would probably want to wait until your hearts are dry. If you are watching this after, and you know, like you're watching the video first and then you're going to do your paint, you can choose to paint your cross fully before. It's just that the dark, if you choose a dark paint, it will kind of bleed through your hearts, which is why I'm doing it sort of in reverse this way. But you don't have to do it this way, obviously. In these corners here. embracing the beauty. I think that's in the interest of time, I am going to go ahead and hopefully this works, apply my highlight color, and I'm actually going to be using the same gold, and let's see how that works. If it doesn't work, as I said, I can always dry it and try again. just remember that whatever it is in the right side of the photo is going to be darker than whatever is on the left side, because our light source is coming from this way. So I'm looking at this and I'm really liking how the gold came out. I know it's probably not bright enough for you to see, but it's really popping over here. But I think what I would like to do is to make this side of my heart a bit darker. So I'm thinking that I am going to add either a touch of magenta or purple to my red. So let's see how that works out. I was not planning on adding any sort of shades of purple to this, but either that or something almost close to a burgundy. I just realized that I need a darker shade of red to kind of balance it out. So let's see. Like that. So magenta is definitely out. I'm going to try mixing it two shades and see what I get. Yes, it's a little too pink for my purposes. I could create, of course, my own shade of purple and have blue. It's still a little too pinky for what I'm aiming for. I'm looking for a nice, deep, rich red. Not scarlet. I could actually add a touch of black to my red. It's not happening. I don't think that's going to be. That's the fun of painting, is that you can mix your own shades and you get what it is that you're looking for. So I think we are done. We're done here. So I do hope that you enjoyed this little painting exercise and that it's inspired you to try your own. Of course, as I said, go for whatever color scheme that you like. You can choose your favorite colors, or if you feel that there's a particular color scheme that will really bring this out, maybe even more so than what I've done, please feel free to go ahead and try it, and I would love to see it. So you can post on the TLC Arts and Skills or TDN TV, wherever it is you're watching this. And feel free, as I said, to post, and I would love to see what you come up with in your interpretation of these. Thank you everybody for watching. God bless you. Love you.